Welcome back to 101 Sports. Once again, I'm Kurt Leston, joined by two resident experts who love baseball almost as much as I do, Junko Aoyama and Jackson Brody. Guys, we are here today to talk about the Hall of Fame. My first question for you is, what requirements do players have to reach or have to have in order to be deserving of Hall of Fame status? Junko, what do you think?
Good news for pitchers who didn't reach 300 wins. Bert Blyleven got in with 280 plus this year. I think the win total is going to keep going lower and lower.
Jackson?
I would agree with the pitchers. You're going to continue to see totals getting lower and lower. And with the hitters, it's the polar opposite. Everyone is, or a big controversial number has been 500 home runs.
True.
As time has gone on, you've seen more guys get to that plateau, and you realize, is it really that special of a number anymore? And in my opinion, it's not.
All right.
Yeah, legally and illegally.
Yes, getting there that way.
Good points from both of you. Really good points there. Now, at this point, it's only writers who get any kind of say if you get into the Hall or if you don't. Jackson, is that the way it should be?
Absolutely not. Writers are, and it's no secret, writers are way too biased. You look at an example like Jim Rice. It took him way too long to get into the Hall of Fame. And that's because writers generally just didn't like him. If a guy blows off writers for interviews after games, that will come back to haunt him later in his, I guess, Hall of Fame contention.
And it doesn't take away anything that he did on the field.
Exactly. I think you need to have coaches and executives in there as well with the writers.
Junko, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Jackson, and because in the past, in the 1920s, sports journalism highlighted heroes. Now it's like Access Hollywood, where they just dig up possibly new villains to hate on.
You know, I think you guys are both right. Writers are way too biased with this. Now, this is the fun part of the block that we have here. So I'm going to give you a name, and you tell me if they should be in the Hall of Fame or if they shouldn't.
Okay.
Jackson, Barry Bonds.
Statistically, you have to say yes. The guy's done everything you could ask for. All-time home run champ, played in World Series, been in All-Star games, done that whole thing. But when it comes to steroids, you can't vote him in for that.
But then again, 700 home runs are not all entirely on steroids. I mean, there are people who took steroids but failed to hit 250.
It gave him the boost, though. There's no hiding that. You don't know what he could have done.
But I think he could have hit those home runs anyway without them.
Jackson, Junko's right on this one. I had to go with Junko. The home run king has to be in the Hall.
I'm very old school.
All right, next player here. Old player himself, Jamie Moyer. Junko, what do you think?
He will get in, but not through the ballot, but through the Veterans Committee. He wasn't a standout pitcher in his era, but I think the committee will realize that his longevity is something special in the game, and he did win 250-plus games to account for.
I'm going to root for him to get in. You got to love that the guy still today at the age of 49 is planning on coming back again after having surgery. You got to love that. But what I think hurts him is if you play long enough, and you only win X amount of games, eventually you're going to get a high win total that he has. I'd like to see him get in, but I don't feel like his numbers are going to be there.
I hear you. Moyer's one of those guys who we'd all like to see get in, but at this point he's on the fence. Now, someone who's near and dear to my heart, I don't know about you guys, but Jackson, Manny Ramirez.
I'm going to stay consistent with my steroid thing. I think Bonds is going to be the domino. If Bonds eventually does get in, I think you're going to see these guys get in. But Manny Ramirez, he's caused a lot of controversy. And we mentioned this with the writers early. He caused a lot of controversy when he was in Boston. The way he's very anti-baseball player, the way he wears his hair, the way he listens to his iPod out in the outfield.
And also, he became too much of a one-dimensional player just hitting home runs. There's going to be guys who's going to hit 500-plus home runs that are going to be better than him. And besides, he was the first, and unlike Bonds, he actually failed the steroids test when it was administered.
Yeah, the test
all right. Enough hating on Manny Ramirez, I understand. But we've got to take another break, but stay tuned as Billy O'Riordan will sit down with some resident experts to discuss the weird and wacky in sports. You won't want to miss this.